Opening the second folder for English notes, these are the modern issues, starting with a collection of Guernsey overprint notes. When Guernsey was under occupation, they were made to use Deutschmarks, and these were stamped before they were handed over. The Germans wanted to be paid for the issued money, and you've got various different dates on these: November, September. They were also notes which were just taken out of circulation, so they were circulated notes rather than uncirculated, and you got a mixture of signatories on these notes because it was what was circulating at the time, including the wartime colours. There's a couple of quite rare ones on this which I've bid on many times in auction and not managed to win. Obviously people want the entire set and are willing to pay whatever it takes to get it done. Then we have the first issue green pound notes with man, Catterns, and we have different serial number configurations with letter number letter, and there's various replacement notes where notes were damaged, and so for instance with this, I believe that's the replacement note, might be that one. So you'll find that one of them is much more expensive than the other because it's much rarer, but it's essentially looking like a similar note. That's Waterloo and Sons advertising one. We've got an error note there with extra paper on it. These extra paper errors also seem to be very popular at the moment, quite hard to win them for good price. This is the back stamp for those green notes. And then we got Peppier, Beale, O'Brien. Again, often trying to get the replacement notes, trying to get first and last editions like the A01s. There's A01N. My general rule is that I like notes without many folds or tears or pinholes in them, but in the case of particularly rare notes I will take one in less than ideal condition. The more common ones I'm a little bit more selective. So these £1 notes, they're not that interesting, but there's a lot of different catalogue numbers in the English paper money catalogue, and the aim for my collection was to have one note of each catalogue number. So even though they all look the same, often just because the year that they're produced or small changes, like I end up with quite a lot. And then we get the Isaac Newton notes, which I remember as a child. 2-page Somerset, and they've got some nice serial numbers and Isaac Newton on the back. So people used to refer to them as Newtons, just as slang. And then back to the 10 shillings. I've got these organised in denomination groups, so all the ones together, all the 10 shillings together, all the fivers together. We've got Man, Catterns and Peppier. This is also the wartime colours. They produced them in purple. One's the Presumably the worst condition one is the replacement note, and this one is a propaganda note dropped on North Africa. And I know that the Italians produced a propaganda note as a green £1 note, but I haven't managed to find one of those yet that I can buy. Again, more of the same. That one's got some tape marks on it, but it's a type that I haven't got, so that's a placeholder. And then onto the portrait series where they introduced the Queen. Then £50 notes, large £50 notes, A01 there. We've got one which is missing the underprint, as you see, all this seal's missing on there. Onto the red £50 notes, to which they ended up adding these holographic type foils, which then got replaced with this type, slightly different design, more security, and then finally we ended up with the polymer notes, and then the introduction of King Charles. The serial numbers on the other side of the note for these, that's the first, and then that was the last, and then that was the new issue. I'm not one to really be fascinated by getting a low serial number of a random note, but if it's the first issue, I take that. That's these were only produced by Ford, A01 to A05. It's quite a short run, not that many notes. And then we've got Joe Page comes in. These are handsome looking notes, I think, with William Shakespeare on the back. And again, we've got some error notes come in for these. They actually made them more colourful, I think. If you can is there a difference here? I think so. That's extra paper and missing back print. And then on to the more modern type, Gill Kentfield. These, they confused people with the crown in the corner, which turns into a denomination in the end, to make it clearer what the notes are. We've got Michael Faraday on the back, and then with an updated one we end up with Elgar, Edward Elgar. I believe the LL numbers are replacement notes, I think, off the top of my head, and then the ones with the holographic foils under Andrew Bailey. This has Adam Smith, economist and writer, and then we've got the polymer notes including Prince Charles, and I know that Cleland was replaced by Sarah John. Charles was issued on Sarah John, and now we have a Cleland one with Charles on it in circulation, so I'm looking out for that one. I want to try and find a nice mint condition one of those with the correct serial number on. I've got a page lined up ready to take that when I find it. I've got £10 denominations. This one has some sort of misprint. I've got the upper layers on it. The back is printed normal. And then we also have some nice serial number ones. I'm not sure if that's the last edition. I know one of them is worth quite a lot more than the rest. And onto the newer type. That's an experimental note. I think the Z90 M01 would be a replacement note, I believe. Kentfield. Again, we've got the crowns on there which get replaced to the denomination symbol. There's also some difference in the wording on this governor and the bank company of the Bank of England. Or we've got maybe it's on the £5, but there's some difference there to look out for. Right, yeah, that's it. Company and the governor and the company, or we've got governor and company. So that's another little variation to look out for. And then we end up with polymer ones and Charlie. And then these two, the Britannia series £5 notes, I think arguably the best looking notes there are, with the lion holding the key to the Bank of England, and a little difference there, coloured in £5, not coloured in £5. Portrait £5 notes. Quite a nice stylish reverse. And then onto the more modern ones with Wellington on the back. Joe Page. That would probably be a replacement M01, I think. This one's got mismatched serial number, doesn't match here to here. Starts with a 9, starts with an 8. This one has extra paper. Nice condition note as well. Another mismatched. Oh, that's the one that we just looked at. I could just see it through the page. This one is the famous one with no signature. It should be a Somerset note, but they produce quite a number without a signature. It's not mint condition, that, but it will do as an example. And then we have more Bond £5 notes. Lastly, the polymer ones. And I think that's about it. Thanks for watching.